Very good. So good. So good we are here together. So good we are, sharing a few moments, well, maybe a little bit more than a few moments, but this time together. So important. So, so important. I know you guys, been having incredible teachings these past months already. Yeah, almost 2 months with Venerable Tendron. So this is very special that you're having this opportunity to have teachings with her. And then, we're going to continue this exploration of the Buddhist path. That's what we are doing. That's what we are kind of like slowly, slowly, slowly doing. But having it very, I try at least to bring it very down to earth and to be useful to our daily lives. Yes, that's the idea. So for that, we're going to always start. The other day I was reading something exactly how I say, but much better because the way I say is very bad. But much better way. They were saying it was one of my teachers. It was a book, and it was saying, Dharma practice. It's not that hard. Most difficult is changing our intention, and it is true, right? Actually practicing Dharma, practicing meditation, practicing being a good person, not harming others and all of that, it's not that difficult. The problem is the motivation, the intention. Why? Because it's so ingrained in our minds right now, our autopilot, yes? The way things just appear in our minds, that we just slide, as I like to say, slide, you know? So we don't observe what's going on. We are not aware of what's going on, and therefore we don't actually make an effort for transforming and changing our own intention. Because from intention, which is always present, yes, every moment of our lives there is intention. Intention is kind of like the beginning, is where it comes. Everything comes from intention. What does it mean, everything? From intention then comes thought. Yes. From thought comes, emotions, feelings, sensations. And then from thought, emotions, feelings, sensations comes speech, body movements. So actually, everything that we do with our body, speech, and mind comes from intention. Does it make sense what I'm talking about? Yes.
Yes.
So the intention is extremely important. Why? Because it's going to be the direction if either we're going to have an experience of, let's say, pleasure, of, you know, satisfaction, of happiness, or if we're gonna have something that, not so nice, something that was very dissatisfying, what very, not nice, and even suffering, that depends on intention. So that's why, I said that in the last time, and especially I want to really, so you guys need to help me, that we always start with the intention. Yes? So let's do that. Let's take a little moment to just become aware first of our bodies. So I invite you, if you want, to have a little, relaxing moment. Jason, don't relax too much. I don't know if you're lying down, but don't relax too much, okay? Oh, he's sitting today. So okay, so then no sleeping today. So that's okay. So we just take a moment to really, be aware of our bodies, wherever we are sitting. Maybe it's the first time today that we are really, bringing our attention, our consciousness, our awareness to the body. And if you want, you can use your breath, as a source of maybe creating a bit of, deep breathing, or just observing the breath, just to become a little bit more calm and relaxed, your experience. And now that the body and the breathing, helped us to become more aware and conscious of our bodies and our present moment, let's bring in the attention to the mind. Simply observing the mental state, emotional state we are in right now. We try not to be hooked by the stories, but just observe. Maybe the coming and going of thoughts, of ideas, mental images, memories. Let it just go. As if we were watching a beautiful river passing by, sitting on the shore, just looking at the water going. So that already helps us to, I like to say, give some space, give us a little break of the mental chattering, the mental chat. And then to realize that maybe throughout our day or week, so many things disturbed our minds. Maybe situations with people, with things that happened, even maybe situations with ourselves. And maybe if we look how we try to deal with it, how we really try to cope with whatever is happening in these difficult moments. Maybe we are not able to find that presence and that awareness that we just experience, that we just have within ourselves. Maybe we forgot. So whatever the problems, the situations, the difficulties, be assured that we can definitely find a solution for it. But if we are coming from an intention of spaciousness, openness, clarity, and not reacting, not just engaging with our autopilot, our possibility of having a better experience of the situation is much bigger. So let's create an intention to use this time that we're gonna share here today by listening, talking, contemplating, thinking, to create this anchor, this strong intention within ourselves where we can always come back to, that we always remember to come back to. I choose lightness. openness, clarity. So let's use this time we have together wisely in order to create that intention stronger and stronger. And with that in mind, we can slowly move our bodies, open our eyes, and we come back here. Anyone want to say something, share, or ask something already? Bob? No? No questions?
I do have a question. I asked it last night, but I didn't understand the answer.
What is it?
It has to deal with karma, if that's okay.
Okay. Let's see how we can bring to the topic of today.
So we're born into whatever family we're born into, and we live with whatever conditioning
Mhm.
we're exposed to. And it may be that that conditioning is not the best.
Mhm.
So consequently, until we get on a different path to transform our lives, we generate bad karma.
Mhm.
Does that karma just so we can generate a lot? We can just generate an awful lot of bad karma in that time frame. How do we deal with that? Because we talk about the karma that we generate today is very much a part of the rebirth we're going to have. But
Mhm.
the karma that bad karma that we generate is out of ignorance. It's not out of intention.
Mhm.
We don't realize we generate, I mean, bad karma, but we're in ignorance. So does that follow us? Does that bad karma follow us to that degree, even though it comes from ignorance?
So let's use what we just discussed now about intention. There is no moment, there is no intention. There's always intention.
Right.
There's one thing, which is being aware and conscious of the intention, and there's another thing of not being aware and not conscious of the intention. Yes? So there's no, remember, I say one of my teacher, Jetsuma Tenzin Palmo, she's great. She's this nun, like an English nun. She stayed 12 years in a cave doing retreat. Wow, amazing. There's a beautiful book called A Cave in the Snow. We have at the center. Very good. And she says, there's no such thing as being, kind of like, oh, I was a little bit aware of what was going on, or I was a little bit conscious. It's just the same as being pregnant. You cannot be a little bit pregnant. Either you're pregnant or you're not, right? So either you're conscious or you're not. So being conscious doesn't exclude the fact, or being aware doesn't exclude the fact of intention being there, right? And as I said, the autopilot, the status quo that we are at right now, yes, it's going to be a confused mind, as we talked about
Right.
last week. Hmm? So until we eliminate that confusion, yes, we're going to be creating, intention that is contaminated by that confusion. And therefore, we will be creating, not necessarily results that we want to. Or, as putting in the words you use, we're going to be creating negative karma. Yes?
Yes.
But karma is not something that is like, oh, okay, so I have some negative karma, so I cannot do anything about it. No. Karma is exactly what we was trying to discuss last week. The completely perfection of understanding why Buddhism talks about so much understanding how the mind works. Especially the main point that we are trying to understand how the mind works is the point, as we're going to put it like this, like using a way of saying that. It's actually what we are trying to understand is the difference, yes? Or the gap, right? Between how things appear and how things actually exist. Hmm? That's what we discussed last week. It's a very big different thing between how things appear and how things actually exist. So karma is not a law that is kind of like invented by the Buddha and all of these. Karma is understanding how things actually exist. Why is that? Well, because it's understanding how relationships, and not relationships in the sense of people's relationship, how things are related to each other. Does it make sense? Yes? So today, we're gonna really, 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 really try to understand, right? Really try to get a little bit more of an understanding of how things appears to us and how they actually exist. Hmm? And today we're gonna try to really see how things actually exist. So it's gonna be a little bit clearer about how karma functions as well. Yes, because karma is like life. Because karma means cause and effect. That's it, right? If I plant an apple seed, I'm gonna have an apple. Not possible to have an orange. Not possible to have grapes. Not possible to have anything else than apple. But as we
Maybe.
know, there are so many different types of apples. So if I plant tell me a certain type of apple, red
Macintosh.
apple. What is the name, Jack?
Oh, I said Macintosh.
Oh,
Macintosh.
Macintosh apple. Not like the type of apples, not the apple, the computer. Is that like an apple?
Oh, yeah, no. It's
No, it's an
Yeah.
actual apple. Never.
Okay, I like Cosmic Crisp.
I like Cosmic Crisp too, by
They're
the
the
way.
best.
Cosmic Crisp. Jack and I both like Cosmic Crisp
They're
apples.
very crispy.
I'm gonna make it easier. Red apples and green apples. If I
Fine.
plant the red apple seed, I am not gonna have green apple, right? I'm gonna have apple, but different types. So that means that shows that cause and effect, they are extremely interconnected and they are very specific. Does it make sense what I'm saying? It's not a random that, oh, I planted a red apple seed and I got a green apple. It's not possible. Yes? There's no correlation between them for that to happen. So that already exactly starts to explain what it is. Hmm? What it is, the way that things start to exist. But just to be very clear for you guys to understand why. No, that's a good question. Nobody asked, but it's a good question. I like to ask questions as well. Why it is important for us to understand how things appear and how things actually exist. Why is it important?
Because how they appear is fantasy.
And then, whatever, what is the problem? I like to watch fantasy movies.
Right. But if you act out of the fantasy,
And then, go on.
you're gonna get the result of the fantasy.
Yes. You got it. That's it. If you act out of the fantasy, you're gonna get the result of the fantasy. Does it make sense that? That is karma. That's how we create karma. Yes?
But if that comes from ignorance,
That is the ignorance.
yes.
Believing in the appearances is ignorance. Believing in what was the word you said? The um the magical aspects or
Fantasy.
Fantasy.
the fantasy. The fantasy, yes, that is ignorance. The ignorance is the belief that the fantasy is how things exist. Does it make sense? Yes?
Yes.
So why it is important that we understand that? Because then we are able to do what? To not follow, to eradicate, eliminate that false belief in the fantasy. And then I start to live from how things actually exist. So if I live from means I don't have any belief. Does it make sense? If I live from how things exist, there's no fantasy. There's nothing to believe in. It's just how things are. Does it make sense what I'm saying here? It's a little bit kind of like, but it's very profound. It's like it's actually taking out some sort of belief. I don't need to. I don't need to believe in anything. I don't need to believe that the green seed of an apple gives me green apples. It's just how things are. I don't need to have any belief. It's just cause and effect. Does it make sense what I'm saying? So that's what we are trying to do. The moment that we eliminate the confusion, the ignorance, means the moment that I eliminate the belief that the way things appear is the way things exist, when I eliminate that, I don't create any more karma.
Can you say that again?
Yes. The moment that I eliminate the belief, yes, the false belief that the way things appear equals to the way that they exist, mean when I eliminate that ignorance, I don't create more karma. Because I don't need to have an intention, let's say like this, you know, to have something, to do something, just things are. I am just living from reality, from how things are. It's very profound. I don't know why we're going there, but it's very good we are going there. Because it actually helps us to touch into the first aspect of why we are needing to understand, you know? Because if we don't understand the way things appear and we don't understand the way things exist, it's impossible for us to recognize it, our mistaken view, our false belief, how we are being fooled by the fantasy of our minds. So what is very important today, what we're going to talk about is three aspects or three ways that helps us realize how things exist. Okay? And the first way that we say that things exist is that things, everything, when I say thing, I'm talking about everything. Okay? Everything that exists is causal. Exists due to causes. Does it make sense what that means? It exists due to causes and conditions. What does it mean? It means that everything arises from something else.
Is that two things or one thing?
This is one thing.
Okay.
Even though causes are one thing and conditions are other thing, but they are both needed for things to arise. Yes? For example, I can have a seed, a green apple seed in my hand. That is a cause for me to have a green apple, right? If I have a green apple seed. But if I just leave it here in my hand, does it gonna start sprouting here? I need conditions to make that come together. Does it make sense? That potential to arise. Yes? So we need these two things. We need cause and we need conditions. So that means that everything arises from something else. What does this implies? If things arises from something else, they don't exist from their own side. They are not self-existing. They are not existing without any cause. Why is it important to highlight both sides? Because when we are highlighting the way things exist, in another way, we are saying, oh, I am not seeing things in this way. That's not how I see it. Because if someone is telling me this, it means that, oh, makes sense. But why I understand that, but do I act like this? No, we don't. We believe that things exist from their own side without any cause. Yes? So when someone does something hurtful to us, in that moment when we feel hurt, we believe that that person, it's bad and it's, no causes for them to be bad. They are just bad. Nothing happened. They are just bad by nature. They are bad from their own side. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Robin? Yes? Okay. You guys can ask questions, okay? Please do ask questions. It's very important that you ask questions if it doesn't create. Most important is to understand, to bring to your experience. Yes, to say, okay. So it is important that we start to understand, that we start to observe. Yes? That when we are suffering, we don't relate to things, that obvious idea that, of course, things have causes, right? We don't relate to things in this way. Yes? The person who hurt us, it's not appearing to us as a complex person with a history, with their own pain, with their own cause and conditions. It's not. We are not thinking like this. We need an effort. We need to put an effort to think in this way, isn't it? We need to think, oh, wait a minute, if this person is acting this way, maybe there's nothing to do with me. Maybe their own story. Maybe they're in a bad day. Maybe someone hurt them. Maybe something happened. Isn't it? We need to make an effort. We need to use our rational thinking. We need to use our analysis. If we need to use analysis to break something, it means that we are not thinking in that way. Does it make sense?
No.
If I have to think, for example, Bob comes and says, Kalden, you're horrible, you nasty monk, and blah, 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 blah. You kind of talk too much, you like this, all of these things. Yeah? So then I come and I'm like, Bob is so evil. He's a bad person. He's horrible. He's always going to be a da, 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 da. And then you, Jack, because you're very, wise and kind, you say, Kalden, I didn't want to say, but Bob is having a bad day and a bad week, and this and this happen, and this and that, and da da da. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, maybe there's nothing just with me. Oh yes, I know Bob as well. I know that these and these bother him when this is that, and then the. So I need to start convincing or thinking and analyzing the situation from a different point of view in order for that understanding that Bob is not self-existing as a horrible person to go away. Does it make sense, what I just said? Does it clarify now,
Yes.
Jack?
Yeah. What you'd said before, I think, was maybe kind of misstated. Something about if you have to analyze something, um,
Then
then
things
you
that
don't
that
understand.
means that means we are not seeing things in a, let's say, in the way we believe we are, right? It's like, oh no, I can understand it, I understand that Bob is like this. But if I am having to analyze something, that means that previously, before, I was not having that understanding. Because I'm
Okay.
having to analyze something in order to go get into that understanding. Does it make sense now? Yeah, better now.
Now, yes.
Is
Bob.
this, does the same apply if it's my own thought about myself
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and not
mm-hmm,
another person?
mm-hmm. Because everything, so every thought that you have has a cause. So a thought of you, there is a cause. Does it make sense? And the cause will be your habits, your, kind of like the way we believe, but especially the main cause is going to be your view that you exist or appears in a way that is different than how you actually exist. Now I made your minds go like, Robin is like, what is he trying? I know he's trying to communicate with me. He's trying to communicate. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that a little bit more, along tonight. But what is very important for us to understand, yes, is like things, yes, have causes in order to exist. Yeah. They are not self-created, self-caused, fixed. Yes? Existing in that way from their own side. Right? When Bob appears to my mind as a bad person, my mind is creating that. Yes? Bob did not have that conditioning of being a bad person in him, fixed, inherently. If he had, everybody would have to see him like that all the time, including himself. And he doesn't do that. I don't do that. His mother doesn't do that. Many people don't do that, right? We see how kind and nice he is. He forgets this sometimes, but sometimes I need to poke him to remember that he's a kind guy, right? So that is a proof that that idea of the way it appearing to me, it's mistaken. If I analyze it. Does it make sense what I'm saying? If
Yes,
I
it does.
analyze and say, wait a minute, but Bob is not always like this. Bob is also like that and this, like this, da, 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 da. Yes? And how about now taking Bob's question about how I think about myself? How about I start to analyze the way I appear to myself also with this idea that, wait a minute, it's not true that I am always like this. I'm also a bit like that. I also do this. I'm also nice. I'm also kind. How about that? Instead of believing in this negative view, sometimes we just, self-talk with ourselves. Oh, I'm bad, or I am like this, or I should be like this. I had to be like that. How about thinking, well, sometimes I'm like this, sometimes I'm like that, sometimes I act like this, sometimes. Yes? Depending on the conditions, depending on the causes, I change, things change. Does it make sense?
Do you have any advice for like when your thoughts are spiraling in a negative direction, kind of getting that? Because it can feel harder to access that even if I kind of know it, you know?
Yes. Yes. I forgot your name, sweetheart.
Paul.
Paul. Paul, great question. And many ways to answer this. The one that I like the most is doing what we are doing now. Talking about it, coming here, listening to this again and again, familiarizing ourselves with this creates habit, right? And habit, a positive habit that will help us the moment that those spirals starts to, come, arise. So it's almost saying to someone that is like an Olympic sports person, saying, "Oh no, you don't need to practice. You just go over there and do it." Right? So it's just like, "Oh yeah, just stop thinking," or just like, well, you need to create the causes for that, right? And the causes is familiarization with tools that can help you in the moment that these things arise. Yes? So this is cause and effect, very useful. First thing. Second thing, I always like to say, if the mind is aspiring and you notice and you try to do something but you can't stop, two things. One, use your body as an anchor to distract the mind from that spiral. Yes? So you can kind of like, deep breathing or walking or whatever, just something that was like gonna break that cycle. Or, as I like to say, being wisely distracting yourself. So let's say that the negative self-talk is too strong, and is bringing you down. You do something like, for example, you watch a nice uplifting movie or a nice uplifting music, or you talk to someone that uplifts you. This is a distraction, temporary distraction, yes, that is needed to cut that spiraling. So then you can use your mind in a more calm and equanimous way to self-analyze and say, wait a minute, I am not like this. I don't need to actually believe in this. This appearance of myself is not true. I can see. Look at me. I am not like that. I also, this person likes me. I also do this. Look, last week I was so nice with that person. Why am I giving this thought any attention? Does it make sense? These are very easy or things that I like to use on my daily basis. I find it very helpful. Does it help, Paul?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So Debbie, you were going to ask something.
Yeah, I had a question about the when the I feels offended, that also is because we're taking ourselves as solid and
Yes.
fixed, right? So that it's not just the reaction to Bob being bad or something, it's that
Yes.
we feel hurt, offended, like we're taking ourselves as not changing moods and this and that, but really just
Taking things personally, we say, right? We say, you're taking things so personally.
yeah,
Yeah, we say that, right? So
yeah.
taking things personally means in Buddhism that your sense of self, your fixed, permanent idea of who you are and how you should be is being challenged. That's why it is being, kind of like this uncomfortable. Because for you, it's clear the way you appear to yourself. You know? Even though sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's too positive, but it seems very fixed in that moment. And someone is challenging that. right? That's why we say that these people that do that to us, they are our best teachers. Don't forget. They are not the enemy. They are the best teachers. Because they're helping us realize that, oh, wait a minute. I have this view of myself, this concrete self, really permanent idea that I am like this, I should be like this. And someone is like, challenging that. And if I observe, I am causal. I am cause and effect. And not only am cause and effect, but I am also changing. I am continuous causes and effects changing all the time. That's what we are. Think about it, our bodies, cause and effect all the time, isn't it? If we eat something, there's a cause, right? There's a result. If we eat something else, there's another result. If we do exercise, there's a result. If you don't do exercise, another result. If you take this medicine, there's a result. If you take that other medicine, there's a result. If you sleep, there's one result. If you don't sleep, there's another result, isn't it? Easy to see the body being a cause and effect relationship, depending on the changing causes and conditions that we experience throughout our lives, throughout our day, throughout our minute. Does it make sense? Robin, are we communicating? Yes. Okay. So the thoughts, even easier to see cause and effect, right? We sleep a little bit better, we wake up better. We have raisins for breakfast, we feel in a good mood, isn't it? Goes like this.
Yes,
We had
absolutely.
coffee. Jack for sure. Mary needs good coffee, so she has good coffee in the morning. Then everything's good in the morning. You know. So we go like this, right? Depending on the cause and circumstances, cause and conditions, then the mood changes because we are believing, yes, that these things that we have or that happens to us, they are or they have or they exist in some fixed way. And that's why when I have coffee, coffee has happiness within it. So I take it, I become happy. That's how our mind works. That's how it works. So who's creating that happiness that we think it is in the coffee? The coffee or the mind? Yes. Yes, Robin is paying attention.
Not the
So,
barista.
not the barista. Or not the burrito, I thought that you were going to say, but no, definitely not the burrito. Okay? But then that is very important for us to really start to understand, right? That actually, everything, in the world has causes. But what does it really mean? Like, for example, this bottle. Yes, plastic bottle. So before being this plastic bottle, it was like some type of rubber or some plastic, and then all of that. And before that was like oil or like, whatever it is. And there was something else, and there was something else. And 2000 years ago, it was like the PP, 2000, no, 150 million years ago, it was maybe the PP of a dinosaur, or, and before that was kind of like, maybe the sun. And does it make sense that all of these things have been changing, 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 and now it has a shape, yes, for this to arrive here. But then if I open this, does the bottle stops to exist? No, it doesn't stop to exist. And if I cut here and it starts to look into every single, like, centimeter of this bottle, where the bottle is, which of these parts will be the bottle? Is there anything in this bottle that I can pinpoint and call it bottle? While you think I drink from the bottle.
So is that number 2?
That is number 2. Parts. Yes? The thing that we are reacting from, yeah? The thing that is making us so upset, or the thing that is making us so, you know, attached. If we really try to figure out where is it, we cannot find it. Like when I am angry at Bob, what am I angry at? His hands? His like legs? Maybe his spin? Maybe his liver? Or maybe his thought? Maybe something he said, but he says so many things, so which one of them? Which of these things that it is the badness that I am seeing in Bob? Yes, Jack?
What if Bob is stabbing you with a knife?
Is the knife that is, which part of the knife is the knife? If I start to break in the knife. The way I like to put it, right? Not that just things depend on causes, but that this thing we call a whole, yes, like a bottle or Bob or me, depends entirely on its parts. And yet, we cannot find in any of these parts that whole thing. Is the example I gave. I saw that Jennifer has a cup. Jennifer, do you want to show us the cup like this so I can give an example? Yes, please. Yes. So if we break the handle of the cup, that means we broke the cup? Yes, like this, Jennifer. Like, ta-da, please, like this. If we let the handle and we break the rest, if we break the bottom, which of these parts can we pinpoint? Yes? And say, this is the cup. Because the handle alone is not a cup. Or is the ceramic, is this ceramic, Jennifer? We can say ceramic, yeah? The ceramic of it, is it the cup? Is the piece, a little piece of the ceramic? If is, which of them? Yes? So I'm saying that the cup doesn't exist, but Jennifer is holding the cup. Now what's going on? What is going on? What we are trying to say? The cup exists due to causes and conditions and is made of parts. Yes? But this unified, solid, independent cup, yes? It doesn't exist the way it appears in our minds. Because if I go to Jennifer's house and I break the cup, maybe it's her favorite cup. Then she gets sad, frustrated. Why sadness and frustration arises from breaking a cup? Can someone tell me why?
Attachment.
But attachment to what exactly, Paul?
The cup.
But just the cup? Yes, but what?
Purpose.
Because if I break, like kind of like if I understand that the cup is an something made of parts, and these parts are always changing, and they are made of conditions. I understand that this cup has the potential to break. So in the same way that I have a green apple seed in my hand, and this has the potential to become a green apple, the moment that I have a ceramic cup in my hand, I have the potential for it to break into pieces. So I am not attached to the cup in itself. I am attached to the idea that the cup is a solid existing way and should always continue to be in this solid existing way. Meaning, I am not accepting the way things are, which is that the cup has the potential to break. Does it make sense?
No. Oh.
Does it make sense, Paul?
Yeah. So that.
So that is what we are, the attachment arises because Jennifer sees the cup as permanent, as never changing. And more than that, the moment she sees that, because the cup holds the golden container, is the golden container, the golden liquid of coffee or tea. Jennifer, tea or coffee? Tea. Okay, tea. So tea, that means, and tea makes Jennifer feels very good. So then Jennifer is projecting that the cup is the source of the good feeling that she gets from having tea in the cup. Does it make sense? I'm loving that you guys are making all of sense, but not all this sense. We need to use these to our minds. That's the most important, right? So I'm going to be repeating these hundreds of billions and zillions of times until we really get to our mind. Yes? Because, you know, like especially in Florida. It's very easy for us to understand this, but then we are driving. All of you came driving because there's no public transportation in Florida, so nobody kind of so you kind of like probably you cannot walk also in Florida, even though now you can walk because the weather is good. But normally you drive, right? And what happens? Especially on Friday at like 5, 6 p.m. on 95, there's big traffic jam, isn't it? Big traffic jam. So how it appears to me, oh no, I'm stuck, Then I start to get frustrated. I'm wasting my time and this and that and blah, blah, blah. I want to move out. I want to, move to somewhere else. I hate Florida. I hate 95. I hate this, like that. The mind starts to go in this way. Iris is like, yes, I've been there, even when I am kind of like, but then where is it? What is it that is frustrating us? Is it in your car? Is the car in front of you? It's each like car, you know? Actually, the traffic jam only exists as a name, as a label we are applying Yes? To that particular configuration of cars in that situation. Does it make sense? There's no inherent fixed traffic jam. There's only a configuration for a certain period of time with many cars together that creates what we call traffic jam. So traffic jam is made out of cause and conditions, many traffic, many people, many cars, many these, the people who invented the cars, the people who produced the cars, the people who did that, the people who did everything, all of these web of things that made the cars appear, that made the roads appear, that made you be able to drive, all of these. Yes? All of these cause and conditions. Hmm? And it's made out of parts. Each single car together creates the label traffic jam. I was reading the other day to make it another example for you guys to understand, but I can't remember any of them. But a configuration of birds, I think we call a flock, isn't it?
Yes.
Unless they're crows.
See, I remember there was so many exceptions. It was very nice. I was reading about that. It was very nice. So, which of the birds is the flock? Is there a bird? Is there in the flock something that we can say is the flock?
No.
Which of the, because if a flock is a union of birds, which of the birds is the flock? There's no. So what is the collection of wolves? A pack of wolves, isn't it? So the same. If I have a pack of wolves, which part of that pack is the pack? It's just a name. It's just a label we are giving to that very circumstantial, very changing situation, isn't it? We, as a society, as people, need a name, a designation for that, right? Why did we decide to call it a pack and the other ones the birds a flock? I have no idea, but I'm sure there's some type of, like a rationale behind. But it's just to symbolize that. Yes? Yes, Bob?
How does that same concept apply to a thought?
I didn't understand. I didn't hear. Sorry. Can you repeat that again?
How does the same concept apply to a thought?
How does the same apply to a thought? Let's call it that this thought is thinking. I am sitting here listening to this blah, blah, blah of this monk. Yes? That's the thought. So let's start with the I am, right? I am sitting here. So if we start to investigate this I am, who is this I that is appearing very solid to you when you are becoming, bored or kind of like, not happy with you're hearing from this crazy monk? What is this I besides a label that our minds is giving for this configuration of body and mind, for this ever changing causes and conditions made of parts coming together? which part of your body you can say it's I, it's me? Or which of the 10,000 thoughts you have a day, it's the me? The me, the I, only exist as a designation, as a label of body and mind. Nothing else. Now, again, this is the third way of existing. Merely a mere designation, a label. Why is this important? Why do I have to analyze this? Why this crazy monk is telling me all of these crazy things? Because if I am saying this, it means that the way it appears to me, it's definitely not like that. The way I see myself, it's as a very inherent, solid existence in a very specific, certain way. Fixed. I have to, I must, I shouldn't, I should not do this, I should do this, I have to do this. And therefore, as we said, because we believe that the way this appearance is the way we exist, I'm going to ask the same thing to Bob again. Why is it important for us to study this, Bob?
So that we can transform our mind and not make these mistakes over and over and over again.
Because you said something even better than that in the beginning. So we don't get the result of the fantasy.
Right.
Right? I love this. Fantasy is a very good word. So if we are living from the fantasy way of believing how we are and how we should be, we can never be ourselves. Are you listening to what I'm saying, Jason? Especially the last part is very for you, okay? So this is important. Yes? Good. If we keep very strongly in our minds, we should be, I have to, I must, very tight, we are completely fantasizing. Why? Because we are always changing. Cause and effect, relationship. That means what? We don't exist? Is that what you're saying? You know? No. I'm saying that if I cannot find this fantasized way of existing, it doesn't mean that things do not exist. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's just that things are a relationship between parts. Parts are made of causes and conditions, plus being named. Yes? When we really fight or struggle to have a fixed sense of self, of ourselves or others as well, yeah, we are fighting reality. And guess what? We're going to lose. Because reality is as it is. Yes. And how it is reality? Just a flow of causal, ever-changing parts. Yes, conditions, moment by moment changing. That are being labeled by the mind. Another way of saying, another example that I always like is the body. The body is always changing throughout our lives, isn't it? And we call a baby body, a kid's body, a teenager body, and then an adult body, and then an old person's body, and then we call a corpse. Isn't it? Same thing. The same thing has different names depending on the conditions and the circumstances. Does it make sense? But we hold as something very, very strongly permanent, and we attach to it. But it's changing. So why get so attached? So what is saying? Don't do exercise, don't take your medicines, don't do this. No, I'm saying understand cause and effect. That if you do exercise, you get a certain result. Remember, if you don't get, you get another result. If you take the medicine, you get a certain result. If you don't get it, you get another result. Choose. Freedom. That's called freedom. You choose based on understanding cause and effect. You understand that if you're not doing it, it's not because you have to, you must. It's because you understand that there is a result and you don't want the result. That's fine. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Does it help? Most importantly. Robin? Yes, no, maybe. Yes. You guys over there, Paul, Debbie, does it make any sense what I'm saying?
Could we, like, when we're training the mind, we're trying to train the mind, and we want to use our intention wisely. Is there some part of the mind that isn't constantly changing so that we could be determined or disciplined? Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but
It's not about like things changing moment by moment doesn't mean that they don't have a continuity, right? It's not that something is new all the time. Otherwise, someone would have to say, oh, your name is Debbie, you are a woman, you were born in it, every moment, So there is a sense of continuity, but that sense of continuity doesn't make it solid, doesn't make it self-existing, right? It doesn't mean that kind of like things, it actually understanding that it's freedom, as I was saying. Why? Because things matter intensely. If I understand that if I act in a certain way, I have a certain result. If I act in a different way, I have a different result. Because things are causal, are changing. And because solid things could never change. And that's not my reality. Yes? Flowing things, like ever-changing things, can change. Yes, Robin, Yubi.
I just have a question. So you're basically saying don't have a fixed sense of anything or solidness of anything. Is that what
An
you're saying?
inherent.
An inherent.
An inherent. Inherent means in the sense, yes, solid, fixed, but inherent almost, it's a little bit like a subtle, it's almost saying things do not exist in that solid, inherent way. Because if they would, they could never change. They would not be able to be causal, right?
Yes.
What it means a self-existing something? It means that it's always in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing is like this.
Right.
Nothing. Not even the sun.
No.
Right? The sun in 4 million years or whatever billion years is going to explode and become something else.
Yes.
So everything in our existence is in constant change. Therefore, they cannot be permanent. They cannot be fixed. They cannot be inherent in any way of existing. What is the most important aspect of understanding that? Why am I like talking about this, and I talked a little bit last time, and we're gonna talk in the next class again. It's understanding that difference, which is the way things appear. Things are appearing to us right now as solid, as fixed, as permanent, as inherent. If we don't understand that, if we don't actually like pay attention that that is the way things are appearing to us, we're going to continue reacting and getting the results of that fantasy. And that result of that fantasy of things existing in the way that they do not, the way they appear, that do not is the way things are, it's what the Buddha says, it's dukkha, it's dissatisfaction, suffering. As long as we have that incorrect view, incorrect way of believing that the way things exist, the way things appear, is different than the way things are, than actually how things are. If we have that and believe in this appearance as being reality, as long as we have that view, we're gonna be suffering. That's what the Buddha is saying. And it makes sense, right? It makes sense that we're gonna suffer because we're gonna be doing something that is impossible to happen. Are we communicating? Yes. Yes, Bob.
So when you have that, going back to what Paul was saying, so when you have that negative thought about yourself, that's seeing yourself as fixed and permanent and inherent at that moment.
Let's go a little bit like before we see that, what we are actually seeing is that quality of ours. Yes, that situation, like for example, like a low self-esteem about ourselves, about our bodies, about our, intelligence, about our weight, about our whatever it might be. It's based on that idea of a solid way of existing of ourselves. Like, for example, I'm overweight and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so ugly and I'm this, oh my God, da, 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 da. Well, actually, if I stop eating, burritos every time I go to Florida, maybe I'm not gonna be, overweight. Or having pizza with Bob after class every time, every Wednesday, every Tuesday. So it's just an understanding. If I understand that things are causal, I don't become a victim of my own mind. I actually understand that, oh, what is the benefit of actually not being overweighted? Oh, because I can have more mobility, I can have more energy, I can have more that. Oh, and then what are you going to do with that? I'm just going to, believe that this is the way myself should be. Then I'm creating again another fixed idea. Best example I'm going to give, easy to understand. Some people, they work in finance. Yes, they work in finance. They're lawyers, accountant. Then they say, I don't want to be like this. I want to be free. I want to be this. Then they leave that job. And then they say, oh no, what is I have to be is I need to be a good person. I need to be very good person. Then I need to become monk. Monk is going to become the answer. Then they become monk. And then they think something changes. Nothing changes. The self-existing still there. Just changing clothes. Just turning identity. But it is still a self-identification in a concrete, fixed idea. So when people talk to me, it's like, well, you say that I don't need to be a good person, blah, 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 blah. I say, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you need to see the benefit of cause and effect, why being a good person is beneficial for you. Not because you have to. That is the freedom of Buddhism. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to become anything. You don't have to believe in anything. You experience for yourself. And then you check, does it make sense? Yes? Am I getting more peace and less suffering? More happiness and less suffering? If that is happening, then okay. Then you follow, then you do it. But because you understand cause and effect. Yes? Homework. Now homework. Homework this week. Very important. You just need to do one time. But if you can do hundreds of times, better. One time only. Whenever you're going to do it with others and you're going to do it with yourself. Okay, so you need to do one with others and one with yourself. Others means anything. If you're feeling that your mind is become very obsessed with something, or your mind is becoming very aversion or angry towards something or someone, try to check your mind and say, look, I am doing this. Okay, why am I doing this? Oh, because I am seeing this person, this situation, this object in a fixed way. So try to apply this idea of, wait a minute, but this is made of causes. This is made of parts. This is made of just a label. Does it make sense? With good something and something difficult. Yes? Even if it is about yourself. So it's like, oh, I'm here and I'm okay, wait a minute. I'm seeing myself as a very inherent, very fixed. But I'm not like this. I am made of causes and conditions, and if I change, then if I sleep, then if I do this, if I meditate, if I listen to blah, blah, blah from Kalden, my mind becomes better and this and that, right? So you go like that, investigating. Can we do this? Please, homework. Can we
Yes,
try
sir.
to remember that? Okay. So then, thank you so much. So much. So much for being here. Now, here, what we created, it's a causes and conditions. We created causes and conditions for these to be in our minds. Right? But not just coming for 1.5 hours and listening is going to create the necessary condition for it to stay in our minds, to, stay there. We need to familiarize. We need to remember. Yes? So that's why the homework. And if anything that we heard, we said, that we contemplated, we thought today created any benefit to ourselves, may we use that benefit. Yes? To continue creating benefit, into the world. How about that? Then it doesn't become only about us. We do that. Yes? So that's what we call dedication. We dedicate that we can spread that understanding into more and more and more ways to benefit ourselves and the world. Okay? We're going to slowly. I haven't talked about compassion. I haven't talked about any of these things, which is something that people love about it when they come to Buddhism. Oh, these monks, so compassionate, so like this. If we don't have these, what we discussed in these, it becomes another self-identity. I need to be compassionate. You don't need to be anything. Yes? Does it make sense? You become, by cause and conditions, compassion because you understand the result, the benefit. Yes? So you're going to get there. We're going to get there. Don't worry. Next year, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really dedicate that anything that I said was beneficial. If it was, it's due to your kindness and your incredible wisdom. Nothing to do with me. Okay? So thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Yes?
Thank you.
See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason, you pay attention to what I said. Listen